Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Evan Carthy from evancarthy.com. Today we're going to talk about the Simon Property Group, and this video is going to go with the blog post I just did regarding this stock. So let's get into it. So what we're looking at right now, there's a couple setups we're going to go over. Again, it goes with the blog post I did with this. A couple short ones and a long one. And then at the end of this, I'll give my opinion about whether or not I'd buy the stock today. If I was going to, full disclosure, I do not own this stock, and I have no plans on buying it in the next 48 hours. It is one I'm going to put on my radar just because they have such a big dividend at about 7.54% at this current time. But as I do mention in my blog post, that there's rumors, or not just rumors, there's news out there that they're going to cut it by 50%. So I think if they do that, then you're going to see it go down even further. But right now we're just going to focus on the technical side of it, and all these setups are ones that I use to personally trade my accounts. I trade futures, forex, and stocks as well. So what we're going to look at right now is the short setups right here. So starting with this pivot point high right there, taking it down to this pivot point low right about down there. You can see price came up, hit the 38% line up here, and that initiated this setup. Basically all the setup is, and this is how I trade 95% of my trades, it's a B, C, and then down here, if it does come down and hit this target, that's going to be the D point right there. I trade a little bit differently, where I'd be looking to buy if it hit down here, but based upon these setups right here, these are valid setups, and so the target area that we are looking for down here is going to be about $8.51. So this currently is in a valid short setup trade right here, so it's looking about $8.51. I think in the blog post I have it at $8.52, just because the Fibonacci extension levels, the pivot points, maybe just a tad off from where I have them in the blog post, but for all intents and purposes, it's close enough. It's a penny off. So that's where we are. So if this does come down and get fulfilled right here from this move, obviously the Simon Property Group has a lot bigger issues going on with them right now. So that is the first short setup. Now the next one right here, I actually did not cover in my blog post, so this one is going to be a little bonus for this video right here for those of you who do view it. So what it's going to be for this pivot point high right there, and again using the same pivot point low right down there. You can see price came up, hit the 38%, which initiated it, and then goes up just a little bit higher and bounces perfectly off the 50% Fibonacci retracement level. So what we're looking for this one right here is going to be a slightly bit higher. We're going to look at the target right around $14.30 for this setup right here as well. So we are in the middle of two short setups, two short valid setups for the Simon Property Group, and I'll just draw the arrow down there. So if it does come to completion, price right now at about $68.93, and the target for this one down here is at $14.30. So if it does come down here to complete, this stock is going to be in some major trouble for it right there. As you can see, and again, another thing that I didn't include in my blog post, but I'm going to mention right here, there is a little bit of a gap down here from about 52.19 up to about 53.83. There is a little gap right here, and gaps love to come and get filled, so that is something to be aware of right there if you are thinking about going long in the stock right now, as you do have a gap down here to the short side that could come down here and get filled before, if it does start its trend back up. And as you can see, a little base is starting to get formed right along through here. So if this gap does come down and get filled, it wouldn't be that surprising. And then if this continues to hold as support and price starts moving back up into it. Now what we're going to do right here is we're going to go for the long setup that we currently have. There's only one long setup based upon how I trade that the Simon Property Group is currently in right now. So using this pivot point low right here, this pivot point high right up here, see price came back down, hit the 38%. That initiates it, sets it up as being a legitimate long trade. Now it doesn't mean obviously price is going to go up there and hit it, but it is something to keep in mind. See price came back down, hit the 50%, now found some support at the 61% Fibonacci retracement level, and it started ever so slowly past couple days moving back up. As I mentioned in the blog post, price does come down here, fills this gap down around the 52 area right here. Again, fills that gap, comes around $52. I would scrap this trade and look for other long setups for it, because the shorts would be in control right there, and just see what's going to happen if this base is going to hold right here, or if it's going to continue down for those short setups that I just mentioned here a little bit ago. But assuming that, we'll say that the long setups do hold, and I'll give a couple reasons why it could hold here in a second. At the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement level, the target we're going to be looking for up here is around $110. Let me draw the target box area right there. There we go. So that is going to be the target area we are looking for this setup right here. Now, there are a couple reasons why price could move up and hit this target area. One, we have a couple gaps that need to get filled. The first gap is going to be right here from about 95.64 up to about 99.86. You have that first gap right there. Then you do have another gap right here from about $112.52 up to about $115.10. So these do kind of act like magnets to pulling price towards it. So we do have two gaps. As you can see, this last gap right here didn't come in and get filled. It for some reason, whatever reason, it was used as a resistance area. Price resisted off the beginning of that gap right here and continued to go back down right there, but also had some other gaps that need to get filled. You see this gap it had right here, price came back down and filled it, came back down and filled this gap as well. So then the last gap we're looking at getting filled is down there. Now there isn't you can see this one right here came down and barely filled this last gap that was right here as well. So it's real interesting the way the stock is set up right now. I mean, there's two valid shorts and a valid long, one gap down to the downside, two gaps here to the upside. So the last piece of information I'll leave you with here today is the one indicator that I do use to see kind of like a barometer of where the stock is the money flow index. And basically all that it tells you is if the green line is above the top of this purple rectangle right here, then that means the stock is overbought. So there could be a move to the downside coming. You can see right here where it broke out of it right there. Eventually, and again, this is a monthly chart right here, so it takes some time for it to actually start coming through. You can see price did start encountering, see down there, and then up right here, start encountering some resistance. And it wasn't until you had that big inversion right here where you have a higher high, but easily a lower low right here in the MFI. Did it really sell off right there? So then what we have down here is, let me take this off right here, Fibonacci level. We have price just collapsing here in the past several months for Simon Property Group. They deal with commercial real estate, and obviously for the coronavirus, pretty much all the malls had been shut down, so they're losing money hand over fist. And as you see right here, where price is just creating right here, we have the MFI going into the negative territory right here, or really being the not negative, but the oversold area. So when price did carve into that, it has now started coming out of it. So it doesn't mean that price is necessarily going to skyrocket back up, but here being on the monthly chart, which obviously holds a lot more weight than the weekly, the daily chart, and of course the hourly 2-minute charts, whatever you want to trade, shorter time period, this does hold a lot of weight right here. So it is something to keep in mind right there. So based upon those couple setups plus the MFI right here, to be honest, what I'm looking for the stock is I'm just looking to see what's going to happen, because with these short setups right here that it's in, I think there is some definite, there could be a move lower here down the stock, or at least come down and fill this gap right down here around the $52 level. Whether or not it comes down and hits these targets between about $14, and I think it was around $8.50 50 cents, I think, something like that for that other short target right there. But I think there could be more downside coming in right here, and I want to see how the stock shakes out with the news regarding its dividend, if they're going to slash it by 50% or even more. If they do that, yeah, that's definitely going to make the stock, in my opinion, move down even lower from the $68 level right here. So that's what and then coming out of the coronavirus pandemic, just want to see how it's going to recover. Now, the Simon Property Group, I think that they do have a lot of cash, or at least they're well positioned a lot more than other REITs out there or commercial real estate groups. They're in a better position for it, but I just want to see how the stock shakes out moving forward. I personally will not be a buyer of it right now. I think there's a whole lot better stocks you can look at if you're looking for some gains, specifically on the tech side of the industry right now. I think there's a whole lot better stocks that provide a whole lot better value than this current one right here. But if they don't cut their dividend, if when the coronavirus stuff finally ends one day, then this could be a really good stock to look forward to look to in that term, especially if the price hangs out somewhere between about the 68 and say about the $58 level right here. If it hangs out right around there, all that stuff happens, then I'd definitely be looking to be a buyer. But until all that happens, A being the dividend, B being the coronavirus, and C seeing how price shakes out, or the stock shakes out for the coronavirus, I would just be waiting right now. So that's my analysis of the Simon Property Group. Hope that helped. Take it easy. Stay safe. Bye.